Good afternoon and welcome to Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. Frank Granito here in the studio today, standing alongside Donald Eng as we take you back through this weekend. Of course, with our game of the week, we've got Athlete of the Week winners, so much more to cover. Don, let's first just quickly mention you had the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Green Bay Packers falling this weekend. Tough breaks for both those squads, but got to give some love to the Falcons. Rise up for those boys.
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny, the Falcons, I'm trying to think, I was going to say that I've been kind of, you always have like a second or third level team that you root for. I always kind of like the Falcons because of Deion Sanders. What can I say? Was a big fan of his when he was playing baseball and football for the Falcons and Braves.
Well, I'm a Jets fan, so I will take any excuse to root for anyone else. So I'm all in with my boy James Bodenheimer and his Dirty Birds there. So big wins for Atlanta, and of course Eric Gendron's New England Patriots going to Tom Brady's record 7th Super Bowl. He's a Michigan man, so we can get on board with that.
Oh, is that the standard?
That's
the
what it is now, yes. But let's come back local now, and of course we announced our Week 2 Winter Athlete of the Week winners this morning, Don. They were Kara Fahey of the New Canaan girls ice hockey team and JJ Fall of the Trumbull boys basketball team. Kara receiving 1,959 votes. A sophomore made 29 saves as the Rams played to a 2-2 overtime tie with the Greenwich Cardinals last week. Fahey kept the Cards off the scoreboard for the final 27-plus minutes in that one. For JJ Fall, he received 1,445 votes. Fall knocked down a baseline jumper at the buzzer to lift the Eagles to a 52-50 road win over Staples High. He scored all 19 of his points in the second half, shooting 7 of 8 from the floor. And the Eagles improved to 8-1 with that win and sit atop the FCX West Division. Congratulations to both Kara and JJ. And Don, another week, and we're going to have 10 more nominees because the list just continues to grow and grow as we are seeing tremendous displays of athleticism and big numbers being produced throughout the FCX early on here.
You know, you really can, and it's always amazing because I go down the list and I can really make a legitimate argument for all of them. It's just a remarkable to see the way all these votes come out, and it's really also very gratifying to see the numbers of votes that these people receive. I really enjoy seeing
and
that.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Was it's great that all the peers and so many fans now coming out and voting for these winter athletes. I mean, for Kara Fahey, 1,959 votes, just an incredible number there. And for JJ Fall, he won with 1,445 votes. The second place finisher, Quinn McMahon of New Canaan, finished with 1,355. So very close for two athletes who racked up over 1,000 votes each.
Very close, very enthusiastic voting, and they appear to the voters really appear to take their votes seriously. Like it's usually pretty obvious when they're voting for someone because he goes to our school or because we know them. These voters are really taking a good look at the numbers and they're really casting thoughtful votes.
It's a lot of fun. Let's get into our Week 3 nominees now, and to read us the female nominees, we'll go over to Don.
Well, your first nominee is Shay Vanderbreck, Darien girls ice hockey. She had 2 goals and an assist, and the Blue Wave shut out rival New Canaan 6-0 last Monday at the Darien Ice House. Both of her goals came in the first period, turning a 1-0 edge into a 3-0 lead after one frame. Your next nominee is Jen Kelly of Greenwich ice hockey. Kelly scored twice as the Cardinals knocked off Fairfield Co-op 3-2 in overtime Wednesday at the Wonderland of Ice. Kelly scored late in the first period and early in the second for a 2-0 lead. Fairfield rallied, but Greenwich won in overtime to improve to 6-1-3 on the season, remaining atop the FCX. Mary Layden of the Stamford West Hill Staples ice hockey team, a sophomore goalie and first-year starter, stopped 38 out of 39 shots in her team's 2-1 triumph over Ridgefield to earn her second career victory and move the SWS Co-op into a tie for 5th place in the FCX. Your next nominee is Megan O'Hara, Ridgefield girls basketball. O'Hara had a double-double when the Tigers won their 5th consecutive game, 63-51 last Tuesday in Greenwich. O'Hara scored a team-best 14 points, added 10 rebounds. The loss snapped an 8-game win streak for Greenwich. O'Hara also scored 12 points in Ridgefield's 86-29 rout of Brian McMahon on Friday. The Tigers are 10-1 on the season. And your final nominee, Caitlin Hocker of the Wilton Norwalk McMahon Ice Hockey Co-op. Hocker had 3 goals and 2 assists in the NWM 9-5 win over Trumbull on Monday. The freshman now has 16 points on the season, including 10 goals to lead the team. So those are your 5 nominees. for the girls FCAC Athlete of the Week. For the men, we send it over to Frank.
Thank you, Don. First up is Jack Pisani of the St. Joe's boys hockey team. Pisani scored 3 goals, including the game-winning tally in overtime to lift the Cadets past Trinity Catholic 5-4. He also added a goal and an assist in St. Joe's 7-3 victory over Wilton High last week. From New Canaan boys basketball, Tyler Sweeney scored a game-high 19 points as the Rams rallied for a 64-57 victory over the Trinity Catholic Crusaders on Tuesday. The senior co-captain scored 11 points in the fourth quarter, and his three-pointer, with just under 3 minutes to go, put the Rams up for good. Jack Williams of the Wilton boys basketball team scored in double-digit points in a pair of wins last week, first scoring 18 in Wilton's come-from-behind 62-61 win over St. Joe's during Monday's MLK Classic at Webster Bank Arena. The senior then added 15 points in the comeback win over Fairfield Ward on Thursday in the HAN Network's Game of the Week. With the win, Ward fell for the first time this season, and Wilton now the last unbeaten team in the FCAC. Theo Moore of the Darien basketball team scored 21 points in the Blue Waves' 48-41 victory over the Danbury Hatters on Tuesday. Darien outscored Danbury 13-0 in the first quarter. The Wave, which also defeated Stanford on Friday, has now won 6 straight, improving to 7-3 and 6-1 in the conference. And finally, from the Greenwich boys swimming and diving team, Patrick Clissom won 4 individual events, including the 50 free and 100 fly, and swam on 4 first-place relays to lead the unbeaten Greenwich Cardinals to victories over Darien and Wilton. Greenwich is now 6-0 on the season. So those are your 10 nominees for Athlete of the Week. Make sure you get on HAN.network and submit your vote. Don, if there is one name that really stands out for me on the girls' side worth mentioning, it would be Mary Layden, the goalie for Stanford West Hill Staples. We saw Mary play earlier this year in only SWS's second game. So incredible to see what this girl is doing for her team. Was not a goalie last year, made the switch because they didn't have one on the roster. Has gone through some growing pains, but what a tremendous accomplishment for her there. 38 out of 39 saves in the overtime win, and well-deserving to be named Athlete of the Week nominee.
Yeah, we talked about that last week when after the New Canaan Xavier boys game, where if you're on the bus home and like, wow, we put 39 shots on goal and we lost the game 2-1. That's outstanding performance. You just watch it, second career start, and you get 39 shots and you save 38 of them. Outstanding.
A lot of fun. So make sure you get out there, submit your vote for the Week 2 nominees. Dom, we're going to take our first break here on Nutmeg Sports, but when we get back, we will have highlights and a full breakdown of our Game of the Week between the last 2 unbeaten schools in the FCAC. All that coming up next on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.
If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN Network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier Network.
Want a new experience in car buying? No aggravation, no confrontation, just answers to all your questions. Scap Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Car buying the way you want it to be. With one of the largest selections of new 2- and 4-door Jeep Wranglers available, we are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Located in Fairfield, Connecticut, we're easy to get to. Just 2.5 miles off the Merritt Parkway, exit 44 via Route 58 South. Save thousands right now during the Start Something New sales event, now through January 31st.
While there's still a bite out on the water, most anglers have decided to stow the gear for the winter. Just because Mother Nature isn't cooperating doesn't mean you can't see the latest models of all your favorite gear. With 2 convenient locations, it couldn't be easier to get your fix of summer. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or on the web, dockshop.com.
Get a fresh start to the new year by shaking up your meal routine. Walter Stewart's Market is your local source for a delicious selection of fresh and convenient salad shakers, like Southwest salad with chicken, Cobb with organic chicken, Power Vegan with fruit and quinoa, Greek salad with tabbouleh, and grilled shrimp with hominy. Grab one from our salad case or order from our deli today. Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street, New Canaan, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
Whether you're looking for the freshest seafood, the perfect steak, or want to share delicious appetizers, look no further than the Stone's Throw in Seymour. Chef Peter Hom has more than 30 years of experience creating original recipes in his American eclectic style. Our dishes are made from scratch with fresh, local ingredients that pair perfectly with a seasonal craft beer, a signature cocktail, or your favorite wine. When you visit our Riverside location, you'll feel like you're on vacation when you're only a stone's throw from home. Visit us on Roosevelt Drive in Seymour or at stonesThrowCT.com.
It's all about meeting goals this year, and Trinity CrossFit of Ridgefield has experienced trainers, top-of-the-line equipment, and a newly renovated space to help get you there. Offering more classes per day than any other CrossFit gyms in the area, we cater to all fitness levels. Our coaches have a combined 10 years of experience in CrossFit, and as competitors themselves, Trinity coaches can get you ready for competition in 2017. Visit our convenient location on Route 7, Danbury Road, or find out more at trinitycrossfit.com.
If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier network, and we've also reached 1.7 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network. If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN network is available for 200,000.
Back on the HAN network, Frank Granito and Donald Eng in studio today as we shift gears now and look back to Thursday night when the HAN network was live at the Zioli Fieldhouse for our game of the week featuring the final two undefeated schools in the FCX Conference, Fairfield Ward and Wilton in boys basketball. And despite getting off to a slow start, trailing by 10 at the half, Wilton on a 20-point run in the second half, outscoring Ward 44-24, clawed their way back to a 75-65 win. And Don, the one thing that impressed me most about the Warriors in this win was the depth of Wilton, because you saw in the second half when Fairfield Ward was struggling, they did not have those guys coming off the bench who were able to pick up the slack, where it was the Wilton bench players in that first half that really kept the Warriors in the game.
Yeah, it was the Wilton bench that really came in and provided energy. I mean, that was really what Wilton was lacking in the first half. It seems strange to say with the big crowd, the raucous atmosphere, but Wilton just sort of looked sluggish, and then just an amazing second half. Really, were getting every shot they wanted.
One more time where the Warriors had 4 players scoring in double digits. Robert Herman, I thought, might have been the player of the game. We're going to see him in the upcoming highlights, but there was a lot of doubt, I think, in that first half, especially Kevin Coleman and myself sitting there calling that game. Chris Kutzo on the sideline, you're thinking, okay, maybe this is the clock striking midnight on the Cinderella story of Wilton, and that they're still not quite there yet. But the resiliency of that team and the ability to go to the bench at any point in time makes them a very, very serious contender, not only for the FCX, but also in the state and in the Class L tournament.
You know, I'm guilty of that myself. Watching that first half, I was thinking to myself, okay, well, they've been exposed now. It was nice, but this looks like it's going to be Ward's night. And then all of a sudden, as you mentioned, it was the role players that kept them in it in the first half, and then it was senior leadership that really helped them pull away in the second. So, I mean, nothing else to say, just an outstanding performance by Wilton.
The Warriors remain unbeaten. Ward suffering their first loss. Let's take a look at the highlights from Thursday's game of the week right here on the HAN network.
This raucous since the Class S championship just a few short years ago, Trinity Catholic and Woodstock Academy.
Thank you, Chris. And right away, Kevin, what we expected, the threes are flying. Thank you, Chris. There have been a couple calls we've seen reactions from so far. As Parsons with the open three, and he's good again. On a timeout taken by Coach Gariak. They slide down to the floor. Brancato to Brancato inside, and it's blocked. Herman denying the opportunity. Picked outside. Williams going to catch and shoot, and it's good.
Frank, I think this place is about to set fire.
Herman with a big rebound and steal takeaway. He has been a huge spark to this team since entering into the game.
Here's Modela for the Warriors.
Cronenberg down low, and it's Herman again. First lead of the night for Wilton. This one turned over again by the Mustangs. They're running out of time here, Kevin. Conley going to pull up for three. You know it.
Woo! Senior captain.
This game is a toss-up, and once again, the Wilton defense stands tall. The Warriors move to 9-0. They are alone atop the FCAC. So a huge comeback for Wilton. They trailed 22-16 after the first, 41-31 at halftime. Marcel Parsons and Giacomo Brancato in that first half really dominating the game. It's worth mentioning Brancato finished with 16 points on the night. He is now 7 shy of 1,000 in his career. We expect him to surpass that number tomorrow against New Canaan, but he ran into foul trouble late in the second quarter, early in the third quarter, and had to go to the bench. Parsons cooled off, and you just saw, Don, there wasn't that depth scoring. And at a certain point in time, you knew Wilton was going to start making threes, and that was when the script turned. They trailed 6-1 in the three-pointer count going into the halftime. They finished tied for 7 aside at the end of this game.
Right, and then and also look at coming off the bench, Robert Herman with 9 points for the Warriors, including a thunderous rejection there that led to the fast break. As you had mentioned, Wilton was able to get the pace at the pace they wanted. They were able to speed the game up, get Ward moving and running up and down the court. You like to see with Herman the big block, and he kept it in play. His teammates were able to grab it, run it up the court for the three-pointer, and leaving the hand hanging up there.
Hand in the cookie jar. And it was Herman had not checked into the game before that point in time. And I spoke with Coach Garriak after the game. And the biggest difference he preached was how that first half they allowed Fairfield Ward to set up defensively. Wilton is a team that wants to run. You saw it on that last big shot with Andrew Connolly just pulling up for a three-pointer in a one-on-three situation. There's no bad shot that you can take in this offense. But when they slow things down and you allow that defense to get comfortable, that's when their offense is out of sync. They want to run. They want to push the pace and get you in uncomfortable positions. And they did it in the second half. Jack Williams was huge in that second half. Matt Cronenberg got hot. Connolly, all of them in double digits. Kyle Matala with 11 points. The depth for Wilton is scary right now because there are 10 players on this bench who can come in and contribute at any moment in a game. Right,
and also, when your team can go 10 deep, when you're on the floor, you're just going 100 miles an hour. The play you just mentioned, in fact, we were talking about it off the air while we were watching the highlights. He pulls up and takes a three-point shot on a 1-on-3 break, and then 3 other teammates came flying up the court behind him. Had that ball not gone into the hoop, Wilton had 4 guys on the offensive glass, and then they all got back again for when Ward got possession. So the depth and the speed with which Wilton attacked and then got back on defense was just incredible. And like I said, it's all about depth. It's going as hard as you can while you're on the court because there's 5 more guys ready to come in.
And turnovers were a huge issue in this game too. Wilton. It almost looked like they were trying to give away the ball in the first half. Talking it over after the game, we thought there might have been double-digit turnovers for the Warriors in the first 16 minutes, which I don't care who you are, you're not going to be able to come back for that or find yourself with a lead. Now, tough game for the Warriors. They welcome in Darien with a 7-game win streak. If Wilton loses this game, they quickly lose their lead in the conference, or not in the conference, but in the FCAC East Division to a Darien team that has been trumping a lot of the perennial powers throughout this season.
Darien has, this game was, Wilton versus Ward was the 2 undefeated teams, but you've got Darien now coming on strong, Trumbull coming on strong. You have a lot of just depth at the top of the FCAC standings. Ward, as you mentioned, 9-1, now in second place. They will host New Canaan their next time out, and they could be right back into a tie for first place with a win there. So it's just it's going to be a very exciting couple of weeks.
And I think Fairfield Ward has a lot of solace they can take away from this one. You had the Warriors on the ropes for an entire half. You sort of let that one get away from you there, and it was some tough breaks, shooting. You started missing shots, and you could see how quickly a game can turn, but you saw how talented the starters for Fairfield Ward are. I mean, everyone's talking about Giacomo Brancato. Marcel Parsons was just smooth in that first half, looked very good, draining from behind the arc, facilitating the offense. So
14 three-pointers. That's
we said the over-under was at 13. Scott Erickson called it, despite Eric trying to tell him no on Twitter. We're going to have to call you out for that one, Eric. But it was a great game to be a part of. I look forward to seeing these 2 teams meeting again down the road. It would make for another excellent playoff match as we've seen in the past. But let's take our second break here, Dom. When we get back, we'll recap the rest of the basketball action, both boys and girls from this past weekend, and we will update you on the cancellations around Connecticut due to this northeastern storm that is coming in. All of that coming up next on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.
sports injury or slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Basketball, hockey, skiing, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook. Discover a world of wellness in the heart of New Canaan. Halo Studios, New Canaan's first collaborative wellness center, offers you the freedom to choose from the best and latest health, fitness, and wellness options. Inside Halo Studios, you'll find all the wellness experts you need at places like Halo Fitness, Priority Wellness, and Sama Yoga Center. Come by for a free wellness assessment, open 7 days a week at 45 Grove Street. For more information, visit halostudios.com or call 203-594-9909.
Are you ready for winter? Ski and Sport has everything you need to be fully outfitted for the season. A family-owned and operated business with over 40 years of experience, Ski and Sport's 3 convenient locations in Fairfield County offer top-quality, high-fashion ski and winter wear. In addition to clothing for men, women, and children, we also offer seasonal rentals for the entire family. Stop by our stores on 1 Ethan Allen Highway in Ridgefield, 877 Post Road East in Westport, and at 110 Main Street in New Canaan. Or visit us at skiandsport.net.
Want to reach new heights in your fitness and health goals? Find what you're looking for at Elevation Spin, Train, and TRX in Georgetown, Connecticut. Elevation Spin gives you purposeful spinning workouts inspired by the road. We encourage monitoring of heart rate and energy zones. Elevation also offers customized personal training with dedicated professionals passionate about helping you reach your goals. And let us motivate you to reach greater performance and functionality with TRX suspension training, using your own body weight for an incredible dynamic workout. Located at 4 Old Mill Road in Georgetown, call Elevation at 203-544-9503 or visit elevationspintraintrx.com for more.
Give your day a jumpstart with the latest news, sports, weather, and more on Coffee Break, live on the HAN Network, weekdays at 11 a.m. Connecticut news doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break.
Back on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network as we're going to take a look at the rest of the boys basketball scores from over the weekend. Greenwich, a big overtime win, 77-71 over Staples. Central gets their first win of the season, 74-64 over the Norwalk Bears. Trinity Catholic, big bounce-back game with a 62-54 win over city rival West Hill. Danbury, 69-52 over St. Joe's. Darien, another big win, 55-53 over Stanford. The Waves win streak up to 7 as they get ready to travel to Wilton tomorrow. McMahon, a 1-point win, 44-43 over Ridgefield. And Trumbull continues to roll 59-39 over New Canaan. As we take a look at the standings in the conference, Don, starting with the West Division. And Trumbull sitting pretty right now, 6-1, a 1-game lead over Danbury, 10-1 on the season. The Eagles off to such a great start. I crowded at the top, though, with Greenwich lingering not too far behind there. But it's really, as you look down the list, the East Division that has been the stronger division to this point in the season.
Yeah, the East has been the story. Wilton and Ward, the last 2 undefeated teams in the FSAC that was, as we mentioned, playing last week. Darien now sitting at 6-1, 7-3 overall, but 6-1 in the conference. We could once again be looking at a situation where the 3 top teams in the FSAC tournament could potentially come out of the East. Of course, the wild card there is Trumbull, and don't forget about Danbury, 5-2 in the conference. But still, generally, still fighting injuries, haven't really hit their stride just yet.
Danbury's still trying to get healthy, and once they do, people believe they will be the favorite heading into that conference tournament. Don't forget that Wilton, Darien, and Ward will all play each other in their next 3 games. You've got Wilton and Darien tomorrow, and then on Friday, it will be Ward and Darien. So those teams could be trading losses with each other. There'll be a clearer picture in the East Division at the end of the week. Don, why don't you take us through the girls' scores from this past weekend? Okay, well, from this past weekend, we had Norwalk beating Central 81-32, West Hill 40, Trinity Catholic 26, Stamford defeated Darien 61-37, Danbury 51, St. Joseph 42, Trumbull 45, New Canaan
20, and Ridgefield with a big win over McMahon, 86-29.
And you look at the girls' standings now for basketball. And again, Trumbull undefeated. We got to see the Eagles for the first time last week. That is a very talented team, very deep team, great senior leadership. Ridgefield not far behind. Their only loss coming to Trumbull. Danbury, Greenwich, Stanford, all right there in the mix. We'll have Greenwich and Stanford tomorrow night here on the HAN Network. So the West Division, clearly the power for the girls right now. Down in the East, Norwalk is the pace car there. Fairfield Ward not far behind. And Wilton and Darien in the mix, but you've got...
Yeah, the top four teams in the FCX playoff standings right now, Trumbull, Ridgefield, Danbury, and then Greenwich in a three-way tie. But the top 4 teams all out of that Western Division of the FCX.
And one of the other teams in that three-way tie is Stanford out of the West Division, and not far behind Stanford, Staples at 6-3. So you could argue right now there could be 6 teams coming out of the West Division for that FCX tournament.
Right, and you also could have some very dangerous, number 7 seeds as we go into that tournament.
Should be a lot of fun. Don, we're going to quickly now just go through, obviously because of the impending weather hitting southwest Connecticut over the next few hours, there have been games that have been postponed this afternoon. Starting with hockey here, we have Massac at BBD. Ridgefield at New Canaan, which the HAN Network was supposed to cover, has been postponed. We'll let you know when that makeup date is set. The HAN Network does intend to still broadcast that game. Trumbull at Conard, Guilford at Trinity Catholic, Newtown at Chippewa, Notre Dame of West Haven at Greenwich. Games that are still on, we will see Wilton and Norwalk McMahon playing at 3 o'clock, Cheshire at North Haven at 3:30, and West Haven at Amity. I've also learned that all after-school activities after 5 o'clock at Fairfield have been postponed, not canceled. So just keeping an eye on those things. And again, the hashtag CTBB, CTHK can keep you up to date on Twitter as well with all those postponements. Disagreements over how you want to go about handling the weather, but in the end, play it safe. You can always reschedule these games.
Right, play it safe. And of course, the problem is that you can't wait until the storm hits before you decide whether you're going to cancel or not. You kind of have to look at it, from a preventative point of view. So, the games that are happening in the afternoons are still on. The games that are going to be happening tonight are canceled because, rather than even the height of the storm, it's supposed to be coming a little bit later, but teams have to drive home. Could potentially be limbs down. So the cautious approach.
And that is it. There's the expectation of trees and power lines potentially crashing down. So keep an eye on Twitter for all of those postponement updates. It's going to do it for today's show, Dom. We're back here again tomorrow at 2 o'clock. We'll have a preview of that Greenwich-Stanford girls basketball game, which will have huge implications on the FCX tournament. Good job today bouncing back on a Monday.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
With Donald Eng, I'm Frank Granito. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 2 o'clock. No boys hockey tonight, but you can get your coffee break at 11 with Kate, the drive with Denise at 12:30, and we'll have girls basketball right back here tomorrow night on the HAN Network.